A man has been shot by police at a Queensland hospital. Authorities say he allegedly charged at them with a 20-centimetre knife before a female officer opened fire at Kingaroy Hospital, leaving him with a bullet wound to the stomach.
My colleagues, what they were confronted with last night will have an everlasting effect upon them.
The boss of the state's police union is calling for a royal commission into mental health after 9 police shootings this year, 3 of them in the past week.
Got my eyes straight ahead, got my head in the game. With the red light on, I'm just waiting for the change. Get my head down low.
Hi, I'm Jay Fallon. Thank you for listening to The Slippery Slope. So you heard it right there. There was another shooting in Queensland by police. Police officers shooting another person. That was the third within an 8-day period, I believe, and the fourth this financial year. Someone had sent me a message or put a message up on the, I think it might have been on YouTube, just saying, "Oh, how many shootings do I think will happen for the rest of the year?" And at the time, I didn't answer because I thought I don't want to put that kind of stuff out there. At the time, I thought, well, going by how you're looking at the statistics, you'd say 1 a month. Crikey. And then you've had 3 within an 8-day period. There's a few issues with this. There's a few issues. And there's a few questions you've got to ask about all the shootings that we've had. I know I've gone over it and I've asked the same questions again and again and again. But seriously, Ian Levers, it was good to see him take some time out from meeting with Paul Pasali. But Ian Levers calling for a royal commission into mental health. Really, Levers? Seriously? You don't think maybe you need an inquiry into the police? Maybe you need an inquiry into recruitment. Your recruitment. That's where you need the inquiry. Who are you recruiting? What is the level that you're recruiting? Is there a correlation between dropping the level of the requirement levels for police and the amount of shootings that we have? Is there a correlation between the amount of females that we now have, because we were pushing for, higher levels of females, and that gentleman there was shot by female police? This isn't an attack on women. Women make good police officers. However, size, presence does make a big difference when you're dealing with people, especially when you're dealing with bigger chaps. Presence, physical presence makes a big difference. So is there a correlation between how many females we now have on the job to how many shootings we now have? You've got to ask these questions. Is there a correlation between the fact that we now take police officers from overseas? How many of these people that were shot in the last 2 years, how many of them have been shot by police that have come in from overseas? Have any of them been shot by police that have come, these new recruits, international recruits that we've gotten? You need to ask these questions. These are the questions. Instead of going in, we need a royal commission into mental health. Freaking hang. We've always had, Australia's got an issue with mental health. You don't need a royal commission into that. You need the inquiry into the police itself and into the hierarchy and what they have done. What are they doing to combat this issue? And don't deny that it's an issue. Okay, so patient shot at Kingaroy General Hospital, northwest of Brisbane, was allegedly armed with a knife. Kingaroy Hospital. Witnesses described how hospital staff put themselves between their patients and an allegedly armed man before he was shot by police at an emergency department northwest of Brisbane. Police were called to Kingaroy General Hospital about 7:30 p.m. on Friday, where officers were allegedly confronted by a man with a knife outside the hospital entrance. Detective Superintendent George Marcassini said officers had no other option but to fire. It's funny, I remember reading that in the last report. The last, it was a week ago, the last chap that got shot by police. First thing, the inspector, that was an acting inspector, I think, came out and said officers had no other choice. No other choice. I'm sorry, I disagree. There's always another choice. It mightn't be a great choice, but there's always, you can't say no other choice, especially on the first day. Hey, someone just got shot 2 hours ago. You come out, officers had no other choice but to use a firearm. No other choice. The issue with saying there's no other choice is, okay, you just say you have a break in at your home. You have a break in at your home. Someone forcibly comes in, they've got weapons, you fight back, you happen to pick up a knife, you stab them, you kill them. Police will never come in. It could be open and shut case. They can see that you might have camera footage showing that these people have broken in. You have no idea who they are. This person's broken in. They've got ill intent. They've got weapons. You just happen to get the upper hand on them. You've killed them. Police would never come out in the same day and say, hey, that resident had no other choice. They'd be there saying, well, we have to have further investigations. This is an open investigation. We're going to investigate all options. We're going to investigate everything about this case. It's just not an open and shut case. Now, if you're the person whose home that got invaded, you might think, well, this is open and shut. I've got video evidence. I don't know these people. They've got no reason to be in my home. They came in. They had weapons. He attacked me. I defended myself, defended my wife and my children. But police would never come out and say there was no other option. No other option. They would not until it's thoroughly investigated. But every time we have one of these shootings, someone like this superintendent comes out and say, "Oh, police had no other option. No other option." Sorry, I disagree. I don't think you can make that judgment straight away. So the 59-year-old man, yep, yeah, he's in a stable condition. Kingaroy Hospital patient Les Lane said in the emergency department when the man came in, he was in there. The hospital staff went well and truly above and beyond their call of duty, putting themselves in between the patients and the person, he said. Good on the hospital staff. The staff had got everyone from the waiting area and put them back in the triage area and locked the door to obviously have the patients remain safe. Okay. So that means that they are now in a safe area. That's what it seems like to me. They've been locked away in the triage area. Superintendent Marchesini said it was traumatic for everyone involved. It's a split-second decision in terms of when they arrive as to what they can do. So let me get this straight. All the patients, all the other people have been locked away. Supposedly the patients and the staff have all been locked away. This chap's in the waiting room. It seems like he might be by himself. Police come, and yet they have no other choice. I'd be wanting to know whose life was in danger. If everyone else is locked away, whose life is in danger other than the police who are confronting him? Because what I'm saying is, if there's no one else who's in harm's way, well, is there no way that police can then pull back and negotiate? Do they have to pull their weapons? Is there always no other option? And can you make that? Anyway, I'm prattling on. That particular person was inside the hospital. Community safety is of concern, obviously, to us. Okay, he was inside the hospital, but was he in the room by himself at that point? It was the third police shooting in Queensland within a week. Asked about the number of shootings, Superintendent Marchesini said officers were seeing an increased propensity for people to advance towards police with weapons. So here we are. We're immediately blaming public, okay? It's the public's fault. They're all advancing towards police. There's nothing, and I'm not saying that it's not their fault. If you have a weapon, you advance, you're going to have to expect the worst. But there's always a level of responsibility on the person pulling the trigger. Always. You have to have a level of some amount of responsibility. The onus, there has to be some onus upon that person, upon the police officer. Has to be. Police are attending certainly many more incidents where there is a propensity for drug involvement and mental health issues that occur. Really? More than there was 5 years ago? Really? Okay. Like I said, it cannot be just open and shut. There is no other option. And instead of this stupid, Ian Levers comes out. He wants a royal commission into mental health in Queensland. Okay. Instead of that, how about we ask what's happening with the police? How much experience do police have all these police that have been involved in shootings in the last 2 years? How much experience do they have on the job? Just anecdotally, this is just anecdotally, okay? I understand it's not across the board, but just anecdotally, I went out a couple of weeks ago. I was out and about. I go into a cafe. 3 police officers walked in. A couple of things really struck me. The first was there were 2 female police and 1 male. Now, that's wasn't really that unusual. What really struck me about this was they were all constables. 3 of them were 3 police. All 3 were constables. And that's unusual because now. So when I went through, you had to study and you had to do CDP, Constable Development Program, before you could step up to be a senior constable. So, some senior constables had gone up quickly within a 3-year period, I think, and others had taken a bit longer. So it wasn't as unusual, but now you automatically go up after, I can't remember the amount of time frame they put, but there's after a certain amount of period, you automatically go up to a senior constable. Thus, I'm looking at three police, all constables. Therefore, they've all got fairly limited experience. In the area I am, they're probably lucky to have between the 3 of them, the most one of them would have had would maybe in their 3rd year of policing, maybe. So more likely it was at least one of them was a 1st year and the other was a 2nd year. Also, the size. Now, here's the thing. I'm not that big, but I'm not that small. I would go out, you'd be out doing general duties and you might be with a female officer. Now, you could see that people would get really stroppy with the female officers, and they would be, maybe they hadn't seen the male officers getting around, but they would start getting really stroppy with them, and you could always tell. And then that time, the female officer would back up and say, "Okay, well, we're going to have to be a bit more physical," and male officers step in, even if it's just presence. Your presence, your physical presence makes a big, big difference. So what I noticed with these 3 officers that I saw in the cafe, besides the fact that they're all constables, they were all very small. Like I said, I'm not a big fella, okay? About 179 centimeters and around 90 kilos. I can hold my own in a fight, and I try and stay fit. With these 3 officers, they were all a lot smaller than me. Like the 1 male officer, he was tiny. He was like my son was when he was 16. He would have been lucky to be somewhere around 60 kilos, and probably only lucky to be pushing 170 centimeters. He was small. And the woman, one of the women was even tinier than him. And then the other woman, she was the biggest, but she still wasn't tall. She was, and she didn't look fit. She was small too. The thing is, you've got 3 officers, limited experience, all 3 of them very limited presence, very tiny looking officers. There is no physical presence. So you have to ask yourself, what kind of experience and what kind of presence do these officers bring when they come? As we saw, this chap was shot by a female police officer. Was the partner a female as well? Because it does make a difference if you get there and you've got 2 small people. Someone will be standing there. If you're confronted by a couple of police officers that are bigger than you, you tend to start pulling your head in a little. That was just my experience. We'd pull up at a job, someone would be there, they'd be ranting and raving, wanting to fight people. Then they get in, then they turn around and see a couple of coppers there who were bigger than them, or at least the same size. And then they'd be starting to calm down, starting to think, oh, maybe I can't take these fellas out. Then they start to pull their head back in. Makes a big difference, your presence. The second thing we need to be asking is, when it comes to these shootings, what is the male to female ratio? How many of them were shot by males? How many of them were shot by females? It will make a difference. Okay. The third you want to look at is, like I said, have any of these people been shot by new recruits which have come from overseas? Because remember how we lost all these good police officers because of the mandates, and the old commissioner and the fellow who's still the police minister said, we'll just get new ones. And then when they couldn't get new ones, they said, oh, well, it's all right, we'll just get ones from overseas. So, is that making a difference? And what is the hierarchy? The last question we need to ask is, what are the hierarchy doing about this? The Queensland Police Service leadership, what are they doing about it? Because, okay, police are going to these jobs. Maybe police haven't got the size. Maybe they're doing the best to their ability. But are the police hierarchy doing anything about it? Are they bringing in other accoutrements that they can possibly use? Are they looking at it saying, well, we can't have two women together. We have to have a male. We have to have three. And the third one has to be a male, and he has to be a bigger dude. Has to be. We have to change our tactics. We can't just allow more people to get shot and then turn around and say, oh yeah, but it's everyone else's fault. We don't hold none of the blame, none of the onus is on us. It's all mental health. It's all drug use. Because hey, there's been mental health issues for the last, I don't know how many decades. Mental health, drug use, heck, it's been up there for a long time. And we can't just have these officers, these senior officers coming out and saying, oh, there was no other option. No other option. Police, he was just shot a couple of hours ago, but we know for sure there was no other option. That wouldn't happen in any other crime. Anyone else did this, you wouldn't come out and just say, oh, no other option. No, you got to investigate it properly. So I have concerns about having a proper investigation, a proper and open, thorough investigation. If the hierarchy are able to just come out within an hour or two and say, well, there was no other option, that's all we could do is shoot the poor fella. Like I said, this isn't to blame, I've said it before, this isn't to blame the officers on the ground, but we need to look at all options. We need to look at what actions the police have taken, what has gotten us to this stage where we have this many shootings in the public, on the public. I think it all comes back to when, that last commissioner and Ryan stood up and said, well, we don't care about the police who are there, all the experience that we have. We don't care about all those fellas. We'll just get new ones. So now we've just got a plethora of new, young, inexperienced officers out there who can't handle themselves, and they think, well, we can't retreat. We can't fall back. We can't just leave him in the room by himself. No. He's got a knife, gun, shoot. Because if you see a knife, you can shoot and you can justify it. See a knife, shoot, justified. No other option. I think there's a bigger issue here. I think the blame lays at the leadership. I also think Ian Levers should maybe get off his high horse and look at things a bit more realistically, okay? He is partly to blame. Because he did not stand up for officers who were kicked out because of the mandates. He didn't give a damn about them. Let me know what you think. No inquiry. There doesn't need to be a Royal Commission into mental health. It needs to be another, I'm sad to say, another inquiry into Queensland Police leadership and the decisions that they have made and the actions that they have taken over the last couple of years. That's what I believe has gotten us to this point where we have shootings every week at the moment. Anyway, that's my opinion. I'm Jay Fallon. Thank you for listening to the slippery slope where we're sliding to more shootings than ever. Later.
They just fuel the desire that will take me higher. I'm on fire because nothing's gonna bring me down. Nothing's gonna bring me down. Nothing's gonna stop me now. No one gonna say